This video is sponsored by Ratchet Clothing. I'll put a link to their website down below in the description to this video. You could go check out all their new collections. I've received a lot of questions asking me about the women who date wise guys, better known as gumaras, which is a word used on the street that means mistress. A gumara is a younger woman who gets herself involved with a street guy or a wise guy. In a typical situation, a guy starts dating a girl and doesn't immediately tell her that he's either married or in a relationship. He'll wine and dine her, buy her nice things, and in some cases even pay her rent or lease her a car. Some of these women are even told to quit their job and they'll receive an envelope each week. And then the conversation takes place, oh, by the way, I'm married. One of the most famous women to become a gumara was Marilyn Monroe. Besides her scandalous affairs with President John Kennedy, his brother Robert, and Frank Sinatra, she was also linked to Chicago mobsters Johnny Roselli and Sam Giancana. In fact, days before her death, she spent time with Giancana at the Calneva Resort and Casino, which was owned by Frank Sinatra. The actress Lana Turner dated Johnny Stompanato, who was a bodyguard for Mickey Cohen. But the relationship with Stompanato took a turn for the worse. After the couple was arguing one night, Turner's 14-year-old daughter Cheryl Crane stabbed Stompanato in the stomach, resulting in his death. Ultimately, Stompanato's death was ruled a justifiable homicide, and she was found not guilty. British actress Elizabeth Hurley was best known for her role in the comedy Austin Powers. She was known to date both Hugh Grant and Steve Bing. In 2002, Bing produced the movie Night at the Golden Eagle. The film was financed by Donnie Shax Montemarano, who at the time was a Colombo captain. Donnie Shax met Elizabeth Hurley on the set of the movie. The two began dating and was often photographed by the paparazzi. On a side note, I watched Night at the Golden Eagle. It's a crazy movie, and I was surprised that Donnie Shax was starring in the movie. Allegedly, Goldie Hawn at some point in time had a relationship with Tony Mira, and Tony Mira was a Banana captain. It had to be during the 70s or early 80s because Tony Mira was killed in February 1982 as a result of the Donnie Brasco infiltration of the Banana family. Supposedly, Tony Mira was the first person that dealt with FBI agent Joe Pistone. It's also been alleged that Cindy Crawford has been linked to Vinnie Gorgeous Basciano. I'm not sure if this is true or not, but you never know. She's a beautiful woman. He's a good-looking guy who happened to be the boss of a family. During my time, I've often heard the words, nobody's got more women than Tough Tony. Tough Tony Federici, the Genovese captain, has always been known to be a ladies' man. He's the owner of the Parkside restaurant in Corona, Queens, so that was a good place for him to meet these women. Supposedly, a longtime gumara that he had would go out and do the shopping for these women whenever he had to buy them gifts. Valentine's Day must have been a sight to see. Lucchese boss Vic Amuso was another guy that was known to have a lot of women. He was also very generous with the women that he dated. One in particular, and he dated her when she was younger, was Angela Big Ange Raiola. Most of you know her from the show The Mob Wives. I knew Angela, and I had met her in the old Angelina's restaurant in Staten Island. An old-timer and a friend of mine I was in prison with, Bobby Sorensen, introduced us. That night, she jokingly made a negative comment about a guy she used to date who happened to also be a friend of mine, Anthony Guzzo. Anthony started dating Angela when he got out of prison in the late 90s. As a matter of fact, my mother met them one night in the old Danny Szechuan restaurant in Howard Beach. My mother told me that Big Ange came walking in the restaurant with boots up to her thighs, but she said she was very nice. Anthony had told me that one day after an argument, Big Ange took all his clothes and threw them out the window. He said, my clothes were all over her front lawn. Naturally, that relationship didn't work out. I remember seeing a video or a picture of her with very short hair, maybe from the chemo, and it broke my heart to see her like that. She had a big personality and was always laughing. May God rest her soul. The last person I'm going to talk about wasn't named the Dapper Don for nothing. Not only was he a good dresser, but he was blessed with the good looks to go along with it. John Gotti had a lot of gumaras himself. I don't know if he was able to give Tough Tony a run for his money, but he had his share. For starters, he began dating Shannon Conley, who was the daughter of the Gambino underboss Neil Della Croce. But more importantly, at the time, she was the wife of Ernie Grillo. So much for the rules not to look at another guy's wife or woman. The reason Shannon's last name is Conley was her mother, Rosemary, was the gumara to Neil Della Croce, so she kept her mother's last name. Not only did John Gotti date her, but he had a daughter with her as well, and we'll get to that in a moment. He was also linked to two famous women that he would take to the nightclub Regine's, which was on Park Avenue and 59th Street in Manhattan. Here's a picture of John Gotti in Regine's. One of the women was the actress and model Kelly LeBrock. Kelly LeBrock was once married to the actor Steven Seagal, who, by coincidence or not, the Gambino family attempted shaking down. Anyway, John Gotti would often be seen with Kelly LeBrock in Regine's. He was also linked to the actress model Lisa Gastineau. She was married to New York Jets defensive end Mark Gastineau. Well, his wife Lisa would be another person in Regine sitting next to John Gotti. Usually when a guy has a gomada, he tries to keep that fact under wraps. Naturally, he don't want his wife finding out. Nevertheless, according to a New York newspaper, dated March 5th, 2006, 3 years after John Gotti's death, an article was titled, Gotti Girls Explosive Mistress Distress. It reads as follows. They may publicly deny them, but Gotti women do not take their husbands' mistresses laying down, and their mob husbands' gomadas know it. So furious was Victoria Gotti when she heard rumors that her husband, Godfather John Gotti, once had a tryst with Lisa Gastineau, ex-wife of the football player Mark Gastineau, that she tracked down Lisa at her mother's New York house. Victoria knocked on the door and angrily confronted the statuesque long-haired blonde. If what I heard is true, I'll hurt you, Victoria threatened. According to a knowledgeable source who requests anonymity, the tense face-to-face occurred while Gotti was in prison, years after his alleged affair with Gastineau, now a co-star of the reality show Gastineau Girls, the source said. But it shook Lisa to the core. The Gotti women are famous for chasing down the girlfriends their husbands were involved with, said a source familiar with the family. Gastineau insists she had a friendship with Gotti that included dinners with pals at Manhattan restaurants. She denies a sexual liaison, which was widely assumed. The tales of wifely rage surfaced as Shannon Sandy Conley, age 49, of Staten Island, denied reports that she was a longtime lover of Gotti. She reportedly bore him a beautiful dark-haired daughter named, I'm not going to say the name. Conley told reporters Gotti was a friend of the family, may he rest in peace, and insisted the daughter was one of 3 fathered by her ex-husband, Gambino soldier Ernest Grillo. But last week, a newly released 1998 prison video showed the late mafia boss bragging about his love child. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please don't forget to hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, you could do so now. By subscribing, you'll receive a notification whenever I post a new video. Thank you. Okay, till the next time. You can subscribe to the Sit Down News blog at sitdownnews.com, and I appreciate everyone who has subscribed. Thank you. Well, just another example in the mob you never knew about. Hope you enjoyed the story. If you would like to subscribe to this channel, you could do so down below. If you would like to subscribe to my other channel, Unlimited Substance Podcast, I'll add a link in the description to this video.